Hi, my name is Allison Rasmussen, and I'm here today on behalf of ISCA to talk to you more about taking care of yourself to help take care of others in this time of change. So, today we're going to talk a little bit more about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and then we're going to talk a little bit about how we use our habits and our behaviors to make sure that we're doing the very best job we can to take care of ourselves. So last time we talked a little bit about two of the biggest needs for our physiological needs, and that was your water intake and your sleep. Okay, so two of the other really important pieces that we have when we need to talk about Maslow's hierarchy, and specifically the physiological needs, are exercise and nutrition and food. So let's talk just a little bit about exercise right now. We'll talk a little bit more about this as we get into our habits as well. But using that piece of exercise every day in some small capacity helps automatically start making your body work for your brain. When we use exercise as a stress reliever and as a way to gain more energy, it is a natural way to give yourself a boost throughout the day. The other piece of Maslow's physiological needs is food. Right? So this time when it can be a little stressful, it might be more intuitive to go for a brownie or a cookie or an alcoholic beverage. But it's really important to think about how you need to use your body and what you need to put into it to make it do the things that you need it to do. On my wall in my chiropractor's office, she has a quote that says, "You have either junk or food. There is no junk food." So when you think about that, thinking about putting the things in your body that you need to be able to be more healthy and have more energy are going to be things that you can get a good amount of nutrition out of. Nutrition dense food. So we're talking about vegetables, we're talking about fruits, we're talking about whole grains. It kind of goes back to, again, making sure that we're getting enough water. And right now, specifically, when we're having a little harder time getting to the grocery store, it's going to be really important to really think. One of the other things that has been totally helpful for me in my practice of self-care is meal planning. So I sit down even with my family, sometimes before my family, but then with my family, to talk about what we think we want to have throughout the week. Now, this is a huge challenge for me. I am a person who is an orange temperament, which also means I like a lot of spontaneity and creativity and freedom. So for me to be able to sit down and say, let's plan out a whole week has been a big challenge. And we'll talk about how that has turned into a habit for me in just a little bit. But being able to plan ahead for the food that you're about to choose makes the possibility of grabbing something that is not so good for you kind of takes that out of the picture. If you don't have the junk food, the junk around, you're way less likely to eat it, right? So when we think about meal planning, thinking about specific amounts and specific recipes of things that we know will be great for our body and our mind. Now, does that mean a little comfort food needs to slip in there too? Absolutely. This is not a time to give up chocolate. This is not a time to give up baked goods. We need those things to help kind of give us a little bit more balance and maybe even a little control of our current situation. But we also need to understand that those are sometimes foods and not all the time foods. We need to make sure that we are getting the most bang for our buck out of the things that we put into our body. This brings me back to habit, right? Habit for me for a really long time was like a 4-letter word. I don't appreciate and didn't appreciate consistency. I love living my life with a little bit more freedom. However, now that I have created a handful of habits that have been allowed me to take better care of myself, and they have become a part of who I am in my everyday, it has really freed me up to be more spontaneous and active and all of the things that go along with that. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. So when he talks about habits, he talks about making small changes to start with. One of the first part of in the introduction of his book, he talks about incremental change, a 1-degree change. So if you're on an airplane in LA and you move the direction of the nose of that plane 1 degree in a different direction, you're going to end up somewhere entirely different. For example, if you are facing from LA and trying to go to New York, if you change the nose of that plane a degree to the north, you'll probably end up in Iceland, which is definitely not the place that you wanted to go to. But making that small change can make a huge difference. One of the other things that I want to talk about today are the 4 laws of habits. So the 4 laws are: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. We're going to talk mostly about the make it attractive and make it easy today. So when we talk about making it easy, you need to remove all of the friction that you possibly can. So making sure that each habit that you're doing is easy to do. We talked a little bit about this when we talked about nutrition, making a meal plan. Another piece of that is food prep, right? I make small containers of different kinds of snack foods, including fruits and vegetables. Every Sunday when we meal plan, I do a little meal prepping as well. So our refrigerator is all on one shelf, a whole bunch of different individual sized snacks and portioned food. That makes it so much easier for me to not have to think about, oh my God, I'm hungry. What do I need to eat? I don't have to look in the pantry. I don't have to look in the refrigerator. I know immediately I have a perfect portioned and wonderfully nutritious snack ready to go. Now, again, and I know that some of you know me, this was a huge shift for someone who had no desire to have any level of consistency in her life for a really long time. But making that one change has made a huge impact. The other piece is making it attractive, right? So that I want to talk a little bit about habit stacking. When you think about building habits, there are already things that you do, and that's the part of habit. It takes away the cognitive stress of making that decision. When you stack a habit on one on top of another, it allows you to make it more attractive. The biggest habit that I have picked up in that way is making sure that when I grab my cell phone every morning before I head down, I have linked a habit of, I always grab my cell phone, but I have linked the habit of a gratitude check. So every day when I grab my phone, I give myself a check of gratitude. When I grab it, I think about the first 3 things that I'm grateful for in the world. Now, gratitude in and of itself is a gigantic habit because the more you practice it, the more it literally rewires the synapses in your brain to look for joy and positive things in the world. We'll talk about gratitude as we continue our self-care journey. But building that habit of gratitude allows me to make sure that I'm always looking for the good in the world, but it's also it's attractive because it's tied to something else that I already do. So, in conclusion, today we talked about nutrition and making sure that in that physiological need that we're doing all that we can to make sure that we're eating good, nutritious food that allows us to use our body in the best way that we can, while also being kind and gentle to our minds and our souls by using some comfort food occasionally. And then we also started talking about building better habits and by making it attractive and making it easy. So removing the friction and stacking that habit onto one that you already do. So hopefully those are really helpful tips. We'll continue to talk more about habits next time and allow ourselves to give yourself some grace this week and understand that we are all in trying times, and it's super important that we're making good choices and allowing ourselves to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of the people around us. Have a great day.